Okay, I'm not gonna be able to watch it as a participant because my trying to use the same team's account.
Sounds good. Good evening, everybody. We'll get started in a few minutes. We're going to let everyone last second jump in, getting home from work. Thank you for being here to talk about the National Jamboree tonight. All right, team, you ready to get going if I start up?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Beaumont. I'm the Director of Support Services with Chief Seattle Council. We're here tonight to talk about the 2026 National Jamboree contingent for Chief Seattle Council going from July 19th to August 1st. This evening, you'll have an option. This is not like a regular Zoom meeting. You'll be unable to talk. So if you have questions, please post them in the chat. We'll get those questions answered for you. Secondly, this meeting is being recorded, so we'll post that on our website. We'll email it to you. You can share it out to your peers as well and get them excited about attending the National Jamboree. Bradley, you want to go to the next slide for me, please? So tonight's agenda, we're going to do some quick introductions. We're going to talk about what is the Jamboree, what's that experience going to be like, talk about the schedule a little bit, our tour that we're going to be going on, what to expect physically, what that cost is, and how we're going to ensure that that cost isn't going to be a strain to get you, registration, and what you can do as a parent to be involved regarding leadership or just being involved on the committee in general to support the Jamboree contingent. And lastly, we're going to talk about shakedowns and what those look like for the unit and how it's going to build that team together so when they attend the Jamboree, they're ready to go. We're going to jump over to some introductions. John, we'll start out with you, buddy.
Yep, so I'm John Campbell. I am the committee chair for our contingent this time around. At the last Jamboree, National Jamboree 2023, I was an assistant scoutmaster, and I was lucky enough to be able to attend with my son, Greg, at the time.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Eric Patton. I'm pictured here with my son, Neil. I've got two boys, both of whom are planning to attend Jamboree next year. This picture I took with Neil was at 5 in the morning as we headed out to Sea Base last summer. And this morning I asked Neil, would you rather do Sea Base again or Jamboree? And he had a blast at Sea Base, but he said he would rather do Jamboree. He's a one-time attendee and he'd love to go again. But I've been a Cub Master in Pack 634 in Bellevue for the last 9 years. And I'm also currently an Assistant Scoutmaster in Troop 600, where I have an older scout as well as my younger scout just crossed over last month.
Hello, I'm Leslie Seckinger. They're going to be the Scoutmaster for the girls troop this time around. I'm an ASM in Maple Valley for Troop 711 for the boys and 7711 for the girls. I went last time to the National Jamboree as the girls leader, as I said, and I went with my daughter Laura. This time around, I think my youngest is definitely going, and one of my middle sons is still on the fence. So one, possibly two, coming with me this time.
My name is Bradley Roberts. I'm a district executive here at the council. I'm the staff advisor for the Jamboree. I've gone to the last two National Jamborees on staff. I had a daughter and a son go to the last Jamboree, and I have 5 of my kids going to this Jamboree with a daughter-in-law going. Most of them on staff, 2 of them with the boys troop. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks for the introductions, everyone. Eric, I'm going to pass it off to you. But first, I just wanted to say thank you as volunteers leading this charge. This is going to be a great experience because of you and what you're doing for us. So thank you again. Eric?
All right. Well, thank you. So Jamboree is held at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. You can see you can see it in West Virginia here, right on this map. That is conveniently located about a 5 hours drive from Washington, D.C. So a big part of the Jamboree experience is the touring that we will do. Leslie's going to talk about the touring in the next section. But go ahead and share this next slide. This shows a lot of the detail of what Summit Bechtel is. Jamboree really started in 1937. It started with 25,000 scouts camping on the mall in Washington, D.C., and it's been held every 4 years since then, or roughly every 4 years. There was an interruption during COVID, which has kind of changed the timing and allowed certain scouts. I mentioned my son went the summer before last. He's going to have an opportunity to go twice, which is really rare. Most scouts really only have the chance to go to one national jamboree as a scout, but it's Jamboree takes place. It's 10 days, 15,000 scouts from all 50 states. You will meet scouts from everywhere. And that's a big part of the experience, is just learning what scouting is like, learning what it means to all of these other kids from all across the country, and including some international scouts that attend National Jamboree. We form a troop. We will go as a troop. We'll talk about that in the presentation as well. But at Jamboree, it's really all about having fun and experiencing scouting as kind of this mountaintop experience. So this is the heartbeat of scouting. I went in 1993. It's still something I talk about with my kids today. I still have patches that I collected from that 1993 scouting experience. National jamborees are something that scouts will take with them as a memory forever. And it's just a really exciting experience. Since 2013, it's been held at the Summit Bechtel Reserve. And I think it's 10,000 acres, but it really has everything there is to experience at this. It's one of the high adventure bases as well. But Summit Bechtel has mountain climbing. It's got the world's North America's longest zip line. It's got all kinds of different adventures that you can do while you are at Jamboree. All kinds of merit badges. Pretty much every merit badge you can think of is offered at Jamboree. And so we're really encouraging scouts to get involved, join this troop. We do form a troop, and that troop does come together and bond as a troop and attend as friends. So you'll make friends from our own contingent, but also from other contingents as well. So Leslie, why don't you talk a little bit about kind of what the scouts will be doing leading up to Jamboree, and then what a day in the life of a Jamboree attendee looks like.
Okay, so we'll set up at Seattle quite late at night, and we'll take a red eye across to DC. We'll try and sleep on the plane, and then when we get into DC, we get picked up immediately by our tour operators. And you can see here, there's like 3 full days of really great historic and fun activities, and this is a schedule that we've been given, but this could very much change. I understand it's the 250th anniversary of America next year, so we're thinking there might be some things going on in Philadelphia and DC that maybe we could get to be a part of. But as of now, we're thinking we'll spend the morning out in Philadelphia on that first day, hitting all the sites there, and then on to Gettysburg. And then the following day, and again, this is all very flexible. It depends how things are going on the day and whether people want to move things around. But we'll do a lot of things in DC and spend the 3rd day again in DC. And there's some amazing opportunities we get to do here. We get to tour a nighttime tour of some of the memorials. Last year, we actually got into the Capitol building, and we got to sit in on a House of Representatives when they were in session, and that was really meaningful for everybody. But it's just a really great way for the scouts to see some of these historical and foundational parts of American history. And it's a really nice bonding experience as well, because we do that all as a big contingent. It's a lot of fun. It's exhausting, but it was a great time last year. We had a really fun time. And then on Wednesday morning, we get up and we take the motor coach over to Beckley. I think it takes about 4 hours, if I'm right, Bradley. And we check into the Jamboree and get ourselves all set up. Yeah, and then when we're at Jamboree, this is what happens at some of the evening bashes that they had last time. So a typical day would be the patrol who's doing breakfast would get up at about 5 o'clock and go off to the supply tent and pick up the breakfast and come back and have it all ready for everyone to eat at 7. And then while they're there, they also pick up a packed lunch for everyone. So after breakfast, we get cleaned up, you pack your packed lunch, and then all the scouts just head on out. And there might be some days where there's activities scheduled, such as whitewater rafting or a special speech upon the summit, or something else that's scheduled. But most of the time, they're free to just buddy up and go off and do merit badges or various conservation walks or whatever really they want to do. They come back around 5 for dinner, and then they head out again in the evening to do patch trading or meet new friends or just go to one of these bashes that they have. You can see that was a really fun night there. And then lights out at about 10. And that's your typical schedule.
And so really, Eric and Leslie both kind of alluded to it, but what is Summit Bechtel Reserve? It's really the experience of a lifetime. Think of it as the world's biggest scout camp, basically. So there's always stuff to do. So for example, really, it's choose your own adventure. So as Leslie noted, after breakfast, the scouts get to go off across the entire camp and explore whatever, ignites their passion. So there's very active things, there's educational things, there's experiential things, there's chill things, everything across the board. And so patch trading, for example, as mentioned, if you haven't been to a larger event where patch trading, like we don't have as much of a patch trading culture in like Washington in our area, but in many councils, patch trading is huge. What I found, and I think what a number of the other youth and adults found as well, is that it's a great excuse to go meet new people, to practice, talking to people that you don't know. You can practice your negotiation skills. So there's a lot of trying to figure out like what's interesting. And it's really, it's a good excuse to be like, oh, I want to meet somebody from Hawaii. Well, they've got a cool patch. Well, now I've got a thing I can talk to them about. I've got something I can look forward to throughout the week. So it's just a good, scout appropriate social lubrication, as it were. So that's really fun. Adventure sports, right? So there is very active stuff to do at Summit Bechtel Reserve. So range and target activities, they have by far the best range and target activities space out of any scouting facility. They've got archery, they've got mountain biking, all kinds of great stuff. And then in terms of aquatic adventures, there's both the stuff that's within Summit Bechtel Reserve itself. So they have boating activities, swimming activities. They've got the inflatable sort of obstacle courses that you can do. But there's also the New River, which is a world-class whitewater river. And so there's opportunities for troops to sign up for slots to go on the whitewater rafting tour as well, which we did the last time, and it was an absolute blast. The kids had a ton of fun, and admittedly, the adults did too. So that was great. Eric mentioned merit badges, for example. So don't think of Jamboree as a traditional summer camp where you sign up for like merit badge slots for 2/3 of the day or whatever. However, if your scout is so inclined, there are absolutely top-notch opportunities to do merit badges. Among other things, many of the people that actually wrote the merit badges are usually at Jamboree staffing the booth for their merit badge. So I met the guys that did the robotics merit badge. I met the pioneering people that wrote the pioneering merit badge book. So they're usually there running the merit badge courses. And the great thing is that the kids can do merit badges that are ones that you can't usually find other places. So there's both kind of traditional merit badges, but a whole lot of really obscure ones that are hard to do. And they've got the top people, and they're set up for the kids to be super successful. And they've got a little extra time, right? Scout camp is only about a week. Jamboree is about 2 weeks. So you've got a little more time to be able to do many of these things. So tons of opportunities there if the kids want to. But you know what? There's tons of stuff to do. And then overall camp life, like the bottom line is as was noted, this is a mountaintop experience, right? This is an opportunity for your scout to go and meet not just, 5 people, not just 50 people, but like 15,000, 20,000 people that are all into the same thing that they're into. And that is a really magical thing to have all these people to come from, all across the country and genuinely all across the world when you count the foreign uh, places where we have scout troops. And they all come to Summit Beckel Reserve and they all have the same values and different cultural experiences. And there's so much to learn, so many new friends to make. It's a really incredible experience. Now, what to expect when you're expecting fun, right? So things to keep in mind. Summit Beckel Reserve is huge, right? So it's the world's biggest summer camp, basically. And so in that regard, there's a lot of space that you need to pack in all those amazing program areas, which means you're going to do a fair amount of walking, right? So I certainly was easily walking 10 miles a day. That's fairly typical for many of these scouts. That might seem a lot, but if you honestly tracked yourself at a normal scout camp, you're probably doing at least 5, maybe 10 miles a day. So you're going to be walking a fair amount. So just be aware of that. There are limited trams primarily to go from where the camps are all the way up to where the range and target activities are, but don't expect to be getting a scout shuttle all over the place. You're going to do a fair amount of walking. And you're going to want to. It's an incredible facility. The other thing is West Virginia is not Western Washington. And so on the East Coast, if you haven't been out there, it tends to be hot and humid. Because of the heat and the humidity, you get rain squalls that can come through periodically. And so you need to be able to adapt to those temperatures. So that's something to keep in mind as well for the kind of the fitness of your scout. It's not nowhere near as challenging as, say, a Philmont or maybe even a sea base or whatever, but it is, there are some challenges to be taken into account. In terms of being prepared, we'll have full packing lists and all that sort of stuff as we go, but things to just keep in mind is scouts should have sturdy shoes that are broken in. I personally highly recommend kind of trail runners, the Solomons or similar, right? Something comfortable, something that dries quickly, but also something that is not too heavy, right? Because if you're walking that far, you don't want heavy boots. Good quality rain gear. So when it rains, it doesn't drizzle like it does in Western Washington. It rains pretty good. And so having good quality rain gear goes a long way. So Frog Tog and similar good quality brands are ones to keep in mind. It's sunny out there, as you can see from many of the photos, which is wonderful. But you do want to make sure you want to keep some sun protection in mind. So quick dry shirts, long sleeve quick dry is always great. Switchback type pants are awesome, so you can adjust your temperature on the fly as you're moving around camp. Seattle sombreros are great because they have both 360 sun protection as well as rain protection. Water bottles, hand sanitizers, right? You got that many scouts in one place, you want to keep yourself healthy and you want to keep yourself hydrated. So like I said, full packing list will be available, but these are the sorts of things. There will be some challenge and we don't want to ignore that, right? It's actually an opportunity for your scouts to step up.
So, excuse me. Right now, we've committed to taking 60 people. It's 40 people for our boys troop, 36 youth, and 4 adults, and a 20-person girls troop, which is 18 youth and 2 adults. We have as you've seen, we have the Scoutmasters selected. We are going to be starting working on the assistant Scoutmasters soon. And if we get enough interest, if we get a bunch of people that want to go, we'll probably add another unit. That might be a venture crew. It could be another troop. We'll just see what the interest looks like. And this is our complete contingent from last Jamboree. This picture. So if you've been exploring our website, you've seen that. You can sign up now. The deposits, it's $500. We kind of have this payment schedule. Some things to be aware of there is if you're doing a fundraiser and you know that it's like midsummer, so it's past the June date. If you're talking to us and keeping us notified, then we can move some of these dates a little bit. Like for example, my kids sell a lot of popcorn. We sold a lot of popcorn for the last Jamboree. We'll probably do that again. And so that some of that is movable, but we need to have communication there. So if you're working on something big, and it's going to be after a date, if you let us know, we can work around that. But you might be asking, so the fee is just about $5,000. You might be asking, what does that cover? That covers the Jamboree itself, the pre-touring. It covers the airfare. It covers some swag. These are a few of the key ones. There's a duffel bag, a Jamboree branded day pack, 2 patch sets. So this is the patch set from the previous Jamboree. We're working on one right now. Our goal is to make the patch set exciting, so that the youth that are at the Jamboree feel like their patch set is, people want to trade for it, so that they can trade for anything they want. And then there'll be additional sets available for purchase. And then they'll get 2 T-shirts that have our Contingent kind of logo on them. There'll be options to buy additional ones. And then there is some unit gear that we have to pay for, like a troop flag, some other stuff that we just have to have as a unit that is part of this fee. Also tents come out of this. I didn't add that. So if you're a parent and you want to help, there's kind of 3 different ways, and we have, I think Leslie's going to talk about the first one.
Yeah, if you would like to come with us as an ASM, there's only 2 requirements. You just have to be no less than 21, so 21 years and up, and you have to be a registered member of Scouting America, and that's in a scout troop, venturing crew, or a Sea Scout ship. And it's a lot of fun. I think myself and my daughter both think it's one of the best things that we've ever done together. So I would really encourage, if you're at all interested and want to come, I think it's a great thing.
John, you want to talk about the committee?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the troop committee, we absolutely need your help. There's a lot of logistics that happens behind the scenes, and that's complex things like helping make sure that we have enough tents and all that sort of stuff, and very simple things like making sure that we have tags on bags and that everybody gets their swag in their bag before we go. So we definitely would love support from parents or even people that aren't planning on attending Jamboree, but we definitely need support to make sure that we have everything in place so that the scouts have the best experience possible and that the adult leaders have the smoothest experience possible. I know I and Leslie really appreciated the support from the committee last time around. It made our job so much easier when we knew that everything was ready to go. And so if you want to help make sure that your scouts have an incredible experience, but aren't necessarily planning on going, the committee is a great way to help, and we would love your assistance with that.
The third way you can help out is you can join the Jamboree service team, also known as the Jamboree staff. This is how I went the last 2 Jamborees. I had kids going, but I went on staff. And the great thing for me or for my kids maybe, they didn't feel like I was hovering over them. I had jobs that I was doing during the day, but I could visit with them. Especially the last Jamboree, I went from the staff area to where the scouts were every other night, and I hung out with them from about dinner until it was time to turn in for the night. And we had fun. We patch traded together. We hung out. I got to meet their friends. They got to tell me all about their day. This picture is the rifle range staff from the last Jamboree. I was part of that. The previous Jamboree, I was a commissioner, which means I was in the subcamps, and I was kind of a contact between the units and the Jamboree. I helped make sure they had what they needed, helped give them any information. But you can be on the bike staff, and there's so much staff options available. And as you heard, we only have just a few spots for assistant scoutmasters. But I love being on staff. I met people from all over the nation. I was able to bring some of that information back, like the way they do things, and talk about it with with our council and leaders. So it's a lot of fun. Depending on what type of staff you want to do, depending on what your interests are, there's probably a staff role for it. We'll have a link to that in just a minute. But some roles, you're busy all through the day and you have the nights pretty much off. And there's some where you're pretty free during the day and you are more engaged with the units at night. So depending on how you want to do it, it's an option.
Hey,
Some
Bradley,
important dates.
Really quickly, can we jump back here to there's a question online about how do I become a volunteer? What do I need to do? Who do I need to reach out to or talk to?
So there is on our council website on the Jamboree page, which we'll have a link or a QR code for in a minute. There's a link to a Google Doc where you can fill it out and put that information on, and then we'll use that to start talking to people about interest. And that's probably the best way to let us know you're interested. And we'll have a QR code at the very end that links to that page. So these are our important dates outside of the Jamboree itself. One of the things that we're trying really hard to do is anytime we're getting together with the whole contingent, we want it to be meaningful and effective. We don't want people to go away thinking that they wasted an hour or two out of their day for like a troop meeting, or that was a waste of a weekend. So right now we've tentatively only scheduled 3 in-person events before the Jamboree. Also recognizing that we have people from the Pacific Ocean all the way out to Central Washington. So getting together for a 2-hour meeting for everyone is really painful. There will likely be some Zoom kind of stuff. We're hoping to break patrols kind of geographically as best we can so that maybe patrols can get together. But we'll have our first in-person meeting this fall. Location to be determined. We'll have 2 shakedowns. And a shakedown are our campouts. It's a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. We get together and we get to act as a troop. They'll work together as patrols. They'll get to know each other. We're still trying to figure out where we're going to have them and stuff. But the June one, for sure, we'll be camping as patrols. We'll be doing food much the way we would do it at a Jamboree, to where they're cooking us like you would at a Jamboree, cleaning, working together. That way it kind of gives everyone a feel for what's happening. Kind of get some of the bugs out before we end up going there. But we're trying to keep it as little traveling as possible for these events. And then as promised, these QR codes will get you to our council Jamboree page. If you want to, if you're just interested right now and your kid wants to sign up, you can do it through there. If you want to do a Google Doc to tell us you're interested in being an assistant scoutmaster, you can do that there. And then the second QR code is if you're interested in staff, you can go there. It's a landing page, has tons of information. There's you can pull up a list of all the different kinds of positions they're looking for. Like for example, my daughter, she's 21 or 22, just graduated from college, and she's trying to be on their social media team so that she will help promote the Jamboree and share stuff while she's there at the Jamboree. So all sorts of options.
Bradley, a question in the chat. Do all assistant scoutmasters need to have wilderness first aid?
I don't believe so, but we do need to have some that do.
Yeah. So for reference purposes, at the last Jamboree, one of the ASMs that we brought was a trained medical professional, and that is certainly our intent is to do our absolute best to make sure that one of the ASMs is a trained medical professional. It was immensely helpful to have someone like that available to us exclusively, and who knew all the kids and knew the baselines for what's normal and all that sort of stuff. But Summit Bechtel Reserve, like I said earlier, is not like Philmont. It is like they have medical facilities there. They actually had the National Guard the last time there, providing medical services as appropriate. So it is not a remote scenario like you might see in other scenarios.
They have they have tent hospitals like you would at a military base. So, and anything they can't do there, they'll take you to the local town hospital. Any other questions in the chat?
We've got we've got one typing or a couple typing, so we'll give them a couple minutes here. Where do you go to submit a candidacy to be a assistant scoutmaster?
So once again, it's if you take the information on for council contingent, if you scan that QR code, I'm gonna do it real quick just so I can clearly walk you through it. There's an interest form right at the top.
We'll also send out a quick email after this with all this information for you, the slide deck alongside these links. So you'll have direct access to sign up for staff or sign up to be a participant with a link to the website as well. And Jim, I saw your question about not being able to find it. We will link that in the email. There's one question by Martin. If we filled out a form last year, do we need to fill out another one?
No, if you filled out one last fall, we still have that one. Oh, that's weird.
And yeah, Bradley, I don't see any more questions coming through, but just to rehash, we will send a followed email. This will also be posted on the National Jamboree website. And if you have questions for us, please let us know. Again, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you to the volunteers that are guiding the National Jamboree. Going to end this.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great evening.